He's coming.
Good evening, Kershaw County, citizens watching online, and everyone in the audience today. This is our regularly scheduled County Council meeting for August 22nd, 2023, starting at 6 p.m., and I call this meeting to order. Mr. Tucker, would you do the invocation today, please?
Yes, can we please stand? Let us all bow our heads and open our hearts. Lord, Father God Almighty, we thank you for life, strength, and health this day that you've given us. We thank you for the week of strength and understanding and grace that you've given us thus far. We ask now that you bless each and every mind and heart that's on this dais, that we make good, sound decisions for our citizens here in Kershaw County. And Lord, Father, let's continue to watch over each and every one and their families. Bless the citizens that's here and bless the citizens that's online and the ones that are home, trusting us to do the business. We thank you now, Lord, for our men and women who provide these freedoms and liberties. We thank you for all that you do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I can't sing, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Adoption of tonight's agenda. Is there a motion pertaining to tonight's agenda?
Motion to approve, Madam Chair.
Okay, motion to approve made by Mr. Tucker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Brazel. Any discussions, questions, or changes? Okay, all those in favor of approving tonight's agenda indicate by raising your hand. And the vote is unanimous. This agenda is approved. The first item on tonight's agenda will be a proclamation remembering and honoring Mr. Sidney Butler. Sidney Butler. Whereas Sidney Butler tireless dedication, commitment, and advocacy on behalf of the people with epilepsy assisted in the passing of S-353, a joint resolution to assist those with epilepsy, and whereas Mr. Butler was a pillar in the community by attending council and utility meetings on a regular basis, and whereas Mr. Butler walked tirelessly throughout the community, sharing what he had learned at the meetings with everyone he came in contact with, and whereas Mr. Butler will be remembered by his saying, "If you can't run, then walk, and if you can't walk, then crawl, whatever it takes to keep moving." Now, therefore, be it resolved, this 22nd day of August, 2023, Kershaw County Council joins the Gentlemen Club of Lugoff, South Carolina, in remembering Mr. Sidney Butler. The founders are John Goodwin, Ellis Nelson, President Joe Counts, Vice President Reggie Kennedy, Secretary Ernest Nelson, Treasurer Norman Nelson, Assistant Treasurer Herman Salmon, Chaplain Brady Murphy, as well as its members and Sidney Butler's siblings, Boykin Butler, Betty Butler, Asserine Butler, Alfreda Butler, and Alberta Nelson. Please join me in a round of applause for Mr. Sidney Butler. And if the Gentlemen's Club will please...
Do we need to do a motion?
Oh,
Do a motion. I also move that we put this on the floor, Madam Chair.
okay.
Second.
All right, Mr. Jones with the motion, Mr.
I have some
Tucker with the
quick, I
second.
have some quick comments.
Okay.
These are memories, guys. And one, I want to say thank you to Mr. Counts for contacting me and introducing me to this wonderful organization, the Gentlemen's Club. And I'm going to tell you what I miss real quickly. I miss Sidney Butler coming here and pointing his cane at me. I miss Sidney Butler when I'd pick him up, give him a ride on the side of the road. He'd be fussing at me. I said, "Sidney, I'm giving you a ride and you're fussing at me." He said, "Well, I will make sure you're right." And he was a good man, well respected in this community. He and I were the same age, and I'm honored to be able to sit here tonight before you, family and friends, with this proclamation, as I know the rest of this county council is. So thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Any other comment?
Yes, ma'am, if I may. Thank you, Madam Chair. Councilman Jones, I know that Sydney's very disappointed about you because you left my name off this proclamation, and he knew how close all three of us were. But I'm gonna forgive you, and I'm gonna ask for his forgiveness when we get there.
Thank you.
Okay. Family and friends, let me say, Sidney Butler was a man of character, honor, respect, dignity, and most of all, consistency. If he wanted something, you can bank on it that he will work on it, and you can tell him no 1, 2, 3, 5 times. It did not matter. If he believed it was good for the people of Kershaw County, he continued to push his way. And I do miss that. I miss that tremendously. I remember when I was a highway patrolman, Sydney at that time was working on the Holiday Inn, and that's where my mother did her chef work. And I happened to see Sydney on the side of the road and wasn't busy, so I pulled over and picked him up. And Sydney said, "You gonna arrest me?" I said, "No, I'm just giving you a ride. I happen to know you through my mother, and I know you're good people, and I'm just giving you a ride." So he said, "I get in the back." I said, "No, no, no, no. This highway patrol. You ride in the front, first class." And from that day forward, anytime I would see Sydney at Walmart or even at the council meetings when he was able to come, was happy to give him a ride. But you did not want to mess with Sydney. Sydney had bear claws for hands. They were that thick, and they were like vice grips. And if he ever grabbed you or shook your hand, you knew you had a real man hand in your hand. Um, Sydney, when he in his younger days, I did not know him, but I can tell you in his latter days, he was just as strong as I was in my heyday. So I sorely miss him. Y'all keep his memory going because he's just a primary example of what citizens should be and can be. I thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. And thank you to the Gentlemen's Club of Lugoff for bringing this to County Council. Any other comments? All right. At this time, all those in favor of the proclamation honoring Sidney Butler indicate by raising your hand. And the vote is unanimous. If the Gentlemen's Club will please approach the dais for a photo.
Come on, guys, ladies, y'all come down. What y'all, we want to get a picture.
Yeah, I want that. Family in the club, right?
Yes, yes.
The family too? Get up,
Yeah,
family.
The
absolutely.
family and the club.
Man, y'all got a wonderful family. This all your family?
His sister. Sydney's sister.
Russell Brazel. I knew him. I didn't know him that well, but I did know him. Damn, sure enough.
Come on, right.
Yeah, come on.
I'm short statured. I'm,
Okay, ready? Y'all just keep smiling for me just a little bit. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Keep smiling. Very good. Congratulations.
Yeah.
We got a
Yeah, I'd like to say a few words. On behalf of the Gentlemen's Club, Lugoff, South Carolina, along with the family of Sidney Butler, his brother Boykin, his wife Isabel, and his sister Alberta Nelson. We thank you. We thank you from our hearts for what you've done for us. And a special thanks to Councilman Jimmy Jones for we approached him and help carry this through. And we say thank you to the highest. I also want to thank your clerk of court, Council Ms. Hannah Parnell, I think the name, Parnell, I think the name is, for helping me out in getting this proclamation put together and presented to you. So we're very thankful. And to speak of Sydney, everybody knows Sydney.
Amen.
Everybody loves Sydney.
Amen.
Everybody thought the world of Sydney.
Amen.
And Sydney was remind me of the leader Moses of the Bible days. He didn't have any transportation, but he walked. And he also said, I don't speak clearly, and I speak slow. But whatever he said, he was like E.F. Hutton, everybody listened. So I worked out of town for years, and I would come home, and first person I would find would be Sydney to bring me up to date on what's happening in our county and our community. Certainly, Sydney's going to be missed, and this is the only thing I regret about this is that we didn't do this while Sydney was alive. But as the old saying says, it's better late than never. So we go away saying what Sydney said. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But just keep it moving. This is what the Gentlemen's Club of Lugol, South Carolina plan to do, is to keep it moving. Thank you for listening.
That's all. Yes, yeah. Sydney's a man. I'm gonna tell you, a man's man.
Right. Thank you again, Mr. Jones, for bringing that to council. We're up to item number 6 on our agenda, public comments, and I'm going to hand it over to you. I have a little guy in the back that needs to get to soccer, but I will be back.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If move to the next item, comments, Ms. Tucker, would you read the rules, please?
Yes, sir. Let me get to.
We
Oh,
should
look at
already
there.
have
How about
it.
that? All right, we're gonna use a short version, okay? It's an opportunity for members of the public to share information with council. It is not a time for debate with or questions and answers from council. It is time for council to receive input. It is not time for council response. Offensive and inappropriate comments will not be tolerated. If a group would like to speak to council, we request that a spokesman be selected for that group. Public comments is a time to discuss, it's a time to discuss issues. Public comment period is limited to 5 minutes maximum, allowed per individual speaker. Public comments to council as an agenda item shall be, continue uninterrupted to be live streamed by audio and video. That concludes my reading, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Tucker. How many do we have signed up, Mr. DeVos?
Just two,
They're
Mr.
right
Vice
next
Chair.
to you.
Okay. Do you have a list?
No, Mr. Vice Chair. I
I'm going to get this list.
He's so used to Madam Chair.
We don't do things the same way.
Mr. Vice Chair, first speaker is Scott Chambers regarding Airport Commission.
Welcome, Mr. Chambers.
Thank you for that warm welcome. My name's Scott Chambers, and my purpose for being here is to introduce myself. Some of you gentlemen I've met in person. The rest of you, I look forward to introducing myself, and I brought some information regarding my background. I am a commercial, multi-engine, instrument-rated private pilot. I've had the opportunity to fly various aircraft into the Camden Airport, and can tell you, you've got quite a jewel out there. You get a warm welcome, hospitality, but also the features of the airport are really unique. You've got long runways and instrument approaches that are not common at all airports. So it's a good place for people to learn, and it's also a safe airport because you have these precision approaches and that sort of thing. So that said, I live with my wife on Lake Watery, on the Beaver Creek side, and my wife Andre and I and our dog Lucky enjoy being here. And I've got some information about myself I'd just like to leave with you folks, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Administrator, sir. He'll get it to us. And thank you so much
Thank you all.
for willing to give of yourself to serve. Thank you so much. You gonna hand those out to us? Please. Okay, next person.
Next speaker is Tom Webb regarding trash.
Mr. Webb, welcome.
I'm going to talk some trash to y'all. I went to the Watery Trash Festival Saturday, and it was great weather, great turnout, great mountain of trash picked up. Some really committed people doing some worthwhile work. Good community spirit enjoyed by all, and I love to see the volunteering, the American way. The old ideas of a community coming out and doing things together. But speaking of old, the fellow who got this whole thing started a while back, I think he thinks he's getting too old. Russell thinks he's getting too old for this, so he's turning it over to some other people, very competent people. And I wanted to mention their names. It's Mason Wolf, Carson Morgan, and Alan Wooten Jr. They did a really good job this year, and many more to come, I hope. I was there, and Ms. Garcia for the Clean Community Commission, we needed to put in our face. Clean community is more about picking up trash off the roadside and parks, so we don't have boats. But those young people, mostly younger people that showed up at the river park, they really did a good job. I was supposed to write something for the Clean Community Commission for June, but I had shingles and my eye was bad and I really couldn't do much. So I finally got something, and it's a poem. It might be a little bit silly, but it kind of represents my way of thinking about doing things more voluntarily rather than having the government step in. You know what Reagan said, one of the words that scared him was, "Hi, I'm from the government, I'm here to help." It's much better if people can do this on their own. So here's my little poem. This is the title of it. Go hug a litter bug and show him how to care, but carry a spare. There's a tire going flat on the side of the road when a pickup stopped to cover his load. Trouble was hiding in the weeds and grass with the bottom of a bottle of broken glass. And if you look a little bit more, there's jagged metal you can't ignore, and boards and nails and old fish scales and whatchamacallums and thingamabobs scattered around galore. Then look here what's coming by, a grown-up baby that makes me cry. Throwing those cans to and fro, a-drinking and winking and feeling so sly. But maybe our young'uns could be the key on their road to maturity, to a better world for them and we, and learning while they're growing from the roadside where we're showing how litter ain't that cool, as volunteers pick up trash and teach the golden rule. P.S. Thanks for covering your load. Litter ain't that cool.
Thank you, Mr. Webb.
That's the best poem yet, may I say.
Okay, I want to say something because I don't have to ask anybody to speak since I'm in the chair seat tonight. Mr. Webb has been coming to County Council many, many years. And let me tell you, folks, not only does he, when he has an issue that he wants to bring before us, he was also willing to step up and put that into action by serving on the Clean Community Commission and doing a very good job. Thank you, Tom, for that very much. All right, having said that, number 7, public presentations, and that's usually a 20-minute. I'm going to stick by the rules, 20 minutes. And I think,
Mr. Vice Chair?
what?
Point of order, can you at least say that we've had one public comment that was sent email from Mr. Matt Hutchinson?
Hold on a minute. Have you got it?
Yes, sir.
Would you?
I'm not reading it.
No, what? Okay.
Do you want me to just,
I don't see it. Hold on.
Councilman Jones, you want me to just mention what it is?
Yes, if you do.
So we received an email from Mr. Hutchinson on the subject of a potential real estate transaction that he thinks would benefit the county. It has been given to every council member and would be put into it'll be in the public agenda that gets posted online, correct, Mr. Templar? Okay, so that is the other public comment, Councilman.
Okay, thank you. Is that the Liberty Hill property?
No, he wants the Woodward Park
Oh, I got you.
and
Okay.
all that, Larry Doby's and all that.
Sure, I got a copy of it in my mess. I did not see it when I sat down.
That's okay.
Okay, very good. Number 7, public presentations. I think I had asked Central Carolina Technical College, Mr. Kevin Pollack to come up and speak, give us an update. Would you mind stepping up, sir? We're looking for good stuff tonight.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm Dr. Kevin Pollack. I'm the president at Central Carolina Technical College. First of all, I'd like to thank Councilman Jones for asking me to come be here, along with our chair, Mr. Paul Napper, whom I think everybody knows. So the idea behind this is really, I think, to show you the partnership that we have with the county. So I literally have a series of facts that I just want to share with you. And of course, if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those. So people ask us, what are we doing on the campus? What are we having that's new? So here's some facts for you. Last year in the 2023 year, we had 840 students attend our Kershaw campus. We had 117 unique courses run on that campus. So we were pretty busy. Finances, in 2019, Kershaw gave us 2.4 mils. In 2020, it was 2.4. 2021, it was 2.2. 2020, it was 2.0. So we're thrilled and happy that you are allowing us financial help. So our financial millage is 2.0 mils plus the $50,000 used for the Carolina Central Scholar Program, which we were very pleased to tell you that we utilized again even last year during no-cost tuition. No-cost tuition was last dollar. So we had to utilize all our other funding first, and that did come in very handy for our students. We're partners with you in a lot of ways. So how are we partners with you? Well, CCTC, the City of Camden, Kershaw County, the Historic Camden Foundation, we helped to construct the Revolutionary War Visitor Center, where we have a room and our name inside. We provided $500,000 for the development and construction of the Watery Road project. We provided $500,000 for Kershaw County to install a median, which will go down Central Boulevard, which will include landscaping and irrigation. Also, we've committed $250,000 to install a new college sign on the new boulevard. We partnered with the Historic Camden Foundation and the City of Camden to utilize $950,000 in funding for the development and construction of a new Colonial Artisan Center, where the college will also have a presence. In the new fiscal budget year of 2023-24, we have secured $10 million to either renovate or construct a new science building on the current college location. Mr. Napper was very instrumental in working with me and the legislators to secure this funding. This is the first of what we hope will be additional funding for our college campus. We want your feedback, so we will create a new 5-year strategic plan for 2025-30, and we want to gather information from comments from Kershaw citizens, business owners, education leaders, on how the best the college can work with you. So you will be hearing from us over the course of the next year as we set times for us to share and hear what you believe we should be doing on our college campus. Kershaw has been incredibly generous to us over the past year or so. When Robert Whitaker passed and his wife Helen then passed, CC Foundation board member and attorney William Cox helped coordinate a gift of $216,500 from the estate, which is one of the largest gifts ever received by our foundation. We received a gift of $160,000 from the Hospital Auxiliary of Kershaw Health to benefit education programs at CCTC, nursing, surgical technology, pharmacy technology, massage therapy, medical assisting and coding. Supporters of our scholarships include Second Look Charities, the Republicans Men and Women Clubs, Hale Gold Mine, the Shaheen family, Cogsdale Tool Products, Sandhills Medical Foundation, and many other businesses that have been very generous over the years to support the golf outing and our nurses' night. Kershaw really does help the college as we help Kershaw. Beginning this fall, we are offering a new pre-nursing preparatory certificate at the Kershaw campus. This is thanks to the new Titan Tech scholarship that's from the state. So each of our students will have up to $5,000 over the course of the year to help pay for college for that particular program. Our area commissioners include Terry Hancock, Lloyd Warren, and Paul Napper, our great chair. Our foundation members include William Cox, the Honorary Alfred May Dreckford, Roy Fakuri, Terry Hancock, Sid Isler, and Lauren Reeder. We are proud to be here. We are proud to be unique and nimble, adjusting to the community needs. We want to be relevant, and we want to be useful during all economic times. We're grateful to the citizens of Kershaw County for supporting the needs of our students, while we also impact the economic growth and expansion of the educational opportunities. That is really all I have to say. I just wanted to come and share some information with you so that people in Kershaw really have an understanding of what we're doing, what we plan on doing, and where the future is. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Dr. Pollack, thank you so much for being here and giving us a quick update on that. And I'm sure my colleagues may have some questions.
Yeah. So, Dr. Pollack, I just wanted to say a couple of things. One, I think I might be the only one up here who's got a child going to Central Carolina, at least as a high school student. My son will start next semester, and we've been through the application process. And one of the things I want to note is you're obviously bringing up the direct impact that Central Carolina has made in the community. But one thing I would like to point out is a couple of ones that maybe are a little bit below the surface. One is high school kids from Kershaw County are able to go to Central. They're able to get nearly a year's worth or more sometimes of college credit. And so for Kershaw County families sending their kids to school, that's a huge money saver. That's at least a year in some cases that are able to be taken care of through the school system. The other thing is you guys have programs that are also very vocational, and so you're also training this next generation of workers as things like the Scout Plant comes in, and we're looking to get economic development projects here in Kershaw County. One of the things they look at is, do we have an educated labor workforce that's educated in these matters? And so you guys are doing that. So I just wanted to say thanks for both of those and highlight those two issues that are indirect but very much a real benefit from the college.
Absolutely appreciate that. I should have mentioned exactly some of the technical programs. Our allied health does fall under technical, but we have welding, we have mechatronics, machine tool. Those are some of the biggest programs that there are needs in the community. Quite honestly, amongst all four of our counties, we cannot bring enough people into those programs to satisfy the workforce needs, and that's one of our challenges. We have businesses that are taking our graduates. Our nursing graduates last year had a 100% pass rate on their exam, and last year's class had a 94% placement rate. So it's helping the community begin. We always still want to do more. But I appreciate you noting those. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Dr. Pollack, thank you. I appreciate you picking up from where Michael left off and just running with the baton. It's been a pleasure having you on board and see the growth with the campus down there. A couple of quick questions. One is with this $10 million and billing onto the nursing program, this will prevent our students right now who are traveling to do their clinicals in Sumter?
Not yet. Clinicals will be wherever the opportunities are of hospitals for them to be able to go to the actual clinicals. So it'll depend on where they are. We are limited in the number of nursing students that we have based on the number of clinicals that we have. When we do this new science building, and it's going to take another year of funding and probably, I would say, 2 years after that to actually complete it. So in the meantime, there will still have to be travel back and forth. We are looking at the licensed practical nursing program. I personally would like to see it come to Kershaw, but it's going to be probably about 4 years or so before we can do that because it has to go through a reaccreditation program.
Okay.
When it was closed, it was actually shuttered totally, so we had to reaccredit. It has to go through where we already have laboratories since we can't send it up someplace that we don't. So that's part of the idea of the science building, of being able to use it as health or science and depending on what the needs are as we get to that point. But it'll be a few years. But again, everyone travels somewhere, but how far is too far for an education?
It's not. So. Well, I am a father, a proud father of one child that went down there to be punished. That was the honest truth. He did something during the summer, and I said, well, you get to take classes at Central Carolina. He went there, blended with the adults, that loved it, and ended up taking classes down there his junior and senior year. And he transferred those credits to Alabama A&M, where he graduated from in 2013.
That's awesome.
So,
congratulations.
Yes, sir. So I believe in the school. I was here with Councilman Jones when we first cleared that property down there, when y'all were in this little building up here, crammed up like sardines in a can. So y'all have come a long way, and I look forward to the future. And thank you and your staff. And Mr. Napper, thank you, my buddy. Appreciate everything you're doing, you and the board.
Anybody else?
Sure, yeah, real quick. Yeah, thank you, sir. I appreciate what you do. I think a lot of people don't realize how this affects our economic development. We can't have one without the other. And job demand's high. People are moving to Kershaw County. We're getting a lot of business opportunities, and I don't think we'd have that without you and the technical college. So
We're going to continue partnering with you as you have new opportunities. We're going to see what we can do to assist in many ways.
appreciate you leading the charge. Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Anybody else?
Councilman Jones?
Yes.
Dr. Pollard, thank you so much. I had the pleasure of 4 years of serving on the Central Carolina Technical College Foundation Board. It was an absolute pleasure. And ever since Dr. Pollard took over with the right-hand man of Mr. Napper, the college has really taken off in an angle that is great for success for all 4 counties it serves, especially Kershaw County. I can't remember the exact figure, but you said 840 students this year in Kershaw County or last year?
That's past year, yes.
And I know that a high percentage of those students who graduate or have a certificate or a degree immediately have a job.
Yes, sir.
Coming out of college. Do you have that statistic?
Well, I can only give you last year's placement rate, which was 94% of
94%.
all of our students.
That is absolutely incredible. So thank you for providing a well-trained and ready workforce. We really appreciate all you do.
Thank you, Councilman Thomas. You have anything?
There's not a whole lot I can say, is there? I mean, I think it's pretty much all been said. I know that there's a lot of students in this county that take advantage of Central Carolina, and I have a nephew that does that right now, and I tell you, he really enjoys it out there, and I appreciate what you all do for the community, and I look forward to seeing what the future holds. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilman. Now, if I could, I do have something I want to say or question. Mr. Snapper, would you come down, please? Your chair. Come on down. I have a question for you, sir. Just between you and I, don't tell anybody. My question to you is, sir, are you on the mic? My question for you is, when are you going to retire?
When you do.
Oh, I'm living to be 100. I'm living to be 100.
Sammy Tucker said he hopes that's tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Napper, for all you've done. And Doctor, thank you so much. We all have a...
Councilman Jones, thank you for inviting us. And I might add one other thing. I was in Speaker Merle Smith's office today for about 45 minutes, and he promised me a second $10 million to complete that building next year.
Wow. Thank you. Appreciate y'all. Is there anything else?
Just thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Good presentation.
Okay, we have another presentation, the Blue Line Boutique. Tim Taylor, would you approach, please, sir? Welcome.
Easy.
I know. It's these darn legs. They don't work.
You're trying to walk like me, aren't you? Go ahead.
Yeah, appreciate that. Hey, Danny, would you give us one? Thank you. Everybody here know what the Blue Line Boutique is? You've heard of it? Hope so. Not, I don't know where you've been. It was started as a resource for victims in the community of Kershaw County. And we've expanded and rebranded the boutique as KC Uplifted, as you can see on your screens in front of you. The other component is the Blue Line Victims Assistance. These 501c3 nonprofits are owned and directed by Kristen Clark and Maria Whitaker. There's Kristen and there's Maria.
Yep.
Welcome.
Yeah. I was told at the beginning of when I helped them that they are literally nonprofit. Nobody receives anything for what we do, and it's great. KC Uplifted is for the community of Kershaw County and is free for everyone. We have men's, women's, and children's clothing, housewares, toys, school supplies, entertainment, and an environment where someone can be safe to ask for help. We found that that's a big problem, is that people don't ask for help. But we're open, and come and you shall find. And everything was in the boutique was donated, from the paint on the walls to the racks that hold the clothes and shoes to the air conditioners. Even the clothes hangers were donated. We have a group of volunteers that come in regularly to run the boutique. You can see from the pictures up there. We sort and hang clothes, help people shop for people who literally cannot shop for themselves, and hopefully put a smile on their face, if nothing else. We've had a lot of people that come in and they just don't seem like they've talked to anybody for probably a long time, and it's really sad. And you give them 5 or 10 minutes of your time, and it just means the world to them, and that's better than anything else you could do. So you don't even have to be in our shop to do that. Just remember to do that when you're around town. I think you've heard me say this before, treat the CEO, or I'm sorry, treat the janitor like the CEO. I don't know, I think I said it. Anyway, we have a group of volunteers that come in regularly, but we always need more, always need more. And a good problem to have is that we need to expand already. We are already running out of room, and we're looking for a bigger building. So if anybody has one and would like to help donate it for some reason, that would be greatly appreciative.
Mr. Taylor, where are you located currently?
Oh, I'm sorry, behind the sheriff's office. Thank you.
Right, there we go.
Yeah, I actually missed that. Thanks for pointing out I missed that, Jimmy. Wasn't that funny? Come on. Guess not. Got a tough room. Anyway, we ask for donations for the public. Bring it to us instead of Goodwill, and they get something for free on the way out. You can just come in and get what you want and what you need, maybe a lot of what you want. But please don't abuse us. We're for the whole county, and resources are limited. We are currently in need of men's clothing, feminine hygiene products, and anything baby related. This will help out tremendously. We're open Tuesdays and Thursdays, 10 to 2, and Saturdays, 8 to 12. The other component is the Blue Line Victims Assistance. It's meant for victims of a crime, men or women. There's a stigma that only women are, victims of crime, but men are too, and sometimes men need help. It's just the way it is. We work on a case-by-case basis because of available funds. It's not limited to just CDV, but any type of victim or crime, or even possibly just bad circumstances. Had a bout of bad luck, maybe gambled too much, I don't know. But you're down on your luck and you want to come in, you need help, just come in and ask. The number on the website, and the victims can also message us through Facebook or email. We offer, but are not limited to, one-night hotel stays, bus and train tickets home, food, clothing, gas cards, when available, etc. We do not pay for utilities or rent, but we can refer you to other places that do. We also have a GoFundMe entitled Help Kershaw County if you like to donate. All monetary funds go toward the victims of Kershaw County, such as shelter, food, bus tickets, and that type of thing. That goes straight to the victims' assistance, not to the clothing boutique. Helping the victims and the members of Kershaw County is important to us, and I'm sure to all of you and all of us out here. No donation is too small, and we appreciate all the members of the community. We want to help better our community, and what better way than to help victims and regular citizens of the county. Everything we do is for the community, and by offering free services to our citizens, we're trying to uplift the county. I think we have already, and we need help to do the same. We need the word spread around. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Mr. Taylor, thank you so much for that update and providing us that information. Ms. Kristen, would you come up, please? Weren't you initially responsible for getting this started?
Yes, sir, I was.
I thought you were. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just want to recognize you on that.
Thank you.
Are there any questions?
I just want to say thank you for the work you guys do. In my old job, I dealt with a lot of victims, and it's a rough place for these women and men to be. And so having a place where they could go, or they can go, I mean, that's, and I know it's broader than that, but specifically on the victim side, thank you all for what you do. I really appreciate it.
Go ahead, Mr. Tucker.
Yes, this is for Tim here. Thank you very much. Appreciate all that you do.
She didn't like that.
The United Way, are you any way tied into them where your services can be more broadcast?
Not yet.
Okay.
We're working on a lot of different
Come
connections.
on up, Chris. You need to stay up here.
And the only reason
And Tim, no pun intended, you're doing a great job, but
We'll discuss this on Tuesday.
So we have partnered with a couple different corporations or nonprofits. One is DARE, and we're going to be working with them to provide any excess. So a lot of times we'll come to the situation where we're getting a lot of donations and the word isn't quite getting out there. And so we've had to rent units, and we have stuff still in trailers. But until we get the stuff out to the rest of the county, then we can't put in the new stuff. And sometimes we get stuff that's not usable or stuff that sits in the racks for a long time and not taken. So that stuff we've been donated to other nonprofit organizations. But now that we're going to be working with DARE, Kristen can explain it a little bit more in detail.
Okay, I am actually speaking with a company called Helpsy. They work directly with the DARE Drug Abuse Resistance Education Program at the schools. We will be actually receiving a bin. The bin is where we're going to put all of our what they call unwearables or unusables. These are clothing that have holes, missing buttons, stains, anything like that. We do want to provide the best to our community members, so we're a little bit picky. Once that is in the bin, they will be coming to pick up those unwearables. They will be providing money to the community through those unwearables. Also going to be providing money by selling those clothes to other organizations, providing money for the DARE program to go towards the kids at the schools. So it's kind of it's a full circle process that we're very, very excited about. And it will provide some residual income for the victims of Kershaw County.
well, I want to say thank you.
Yes, great work.
Thank you, Tim, too. This has been valuable information. I really didn't know much about it, but I appreciate y'all taking the time. Does anybody else like to say anything?
I'd like to say thank you.
Go ahead.
So, ladies and Tim, thank you all for what you're doing. Anytime you're part of an organization, you're part of an organization. So, what y'all are doing is fantastic for the community. It's selfless, and giving and caring shows character. So, we really appreciate, and I appreciate what you guys are doing here in Kershaw County. Thank you.
Don't leave yet. Anybody else?
Councilman Jones, I'd also like to say thank you. We need more people like y'all who are able to come to our community and be a part of it, give your time, your services for the benefit of the community without asking a thing. That is absolutely incredible. Thank y'all so much. One quick question. You mentioned you needed a larger space. How much larger are you looking? What's your current size? And
Our current size is a single wide trailer. So something.
so anything bigger than that? That's what you're, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Would y'all be
We're
willing to
very
relocate to a different part, wherever?
Absolutely.
You looking at that old karate studio by the firm there?
I mean, I think we have some opportunities. So I have some friends I'll reach out to and see if it's a possibility, and I'll reach out to Tim and let y'all know.
One thing I would like to add is that it is not just for people that are just absolutely down and out in need. For the portion that we have for the Kershaw County Uplifted, it is for everybody, regardless of income. So you might be able to go to the store and buy your kids all this stuff or go buy what you need, but it is the community donating it back to the community. So if you can save a little bit of money and get those items at this place, at our location, and you can save that money and take your kids out to the movies or go somewhere with your family and provide elsewhere.
Anybody else? Folks, I want to say this. Everybody is fighting their own battle in their mind that we don't know anything about. And there are people out there that are really hurting, and they need these resources. So I, for one, am very glad to hear this, because I will certainly be sending those who appropriately need it. Our homeless situation is growing. I don't have answers for it, but they're human beings. They deserve just as much right to live as anybody else. So thank you so much for what you do, and thank you for bringing this before us tonight. Proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Good job.
One more thing, just as far as they serve, Maria is full-time Air Force, and Kristen is about to join the Air Force Reserve. So
Congratulations.
Thank
there you
you.
go on that.
When it comes to homeless, that touches my heart in a special way. And I'll just tell you straight up, I'm not ashamed of it. My dad died a homeless man on the streets in Columbia. And he was 82nd Airborne in World War I. Heard that in World War II before they ever knew what PTSD was. As a child, you don't understand. But let me tell you, I get it. And I get what y'all are trying to do, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
And once again, the Air Force leading the charge.
Okay. All right, let's
Nobody
move.
says that.
Thank you. Okay, we got to move along. Okay. Number 9.
All right, Marine.
Ordinances.
Number 8.
No, I'm sorry, number 8. Stop it, Sammy. Okay, number 8, approval of minutes. I have a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor? Raise your right hand. It's unanimous. All, and of course, let the record show that Madam Chair is not here at the moment, so it's all in favor other than that. Okay, let's move along into ordinances number 9. Okay, this is third reading, case number 23-09, an ordinance to amend the Kershaw County, South Carolina Unified Code of Zoning and Land Development Regulations, Section 3, 1.3, Tables 3-4, to require minimum lot sizes of 15,000 square feet for residential development. Now, let me just say this first. First reading was on July 25th, 23. Second reading was on August 8th, 2023, and the public hearing was August 8th, 2023. Mr. Shoemaker, I'm going to ask you.
Yeah, I would have a motion. Do you want me to explain?
Yes, a motion.
Yeah, I would make a motion that we adopt ordinance case number 2309.
Is there a second?
Second.
All
I
right.
yield. Mr. Brazel.
Mr. You yield.
Yes, sir, to Mr.
I
Brazel.
got you. I'm sorry. Mr. Shoemaker, would you start us off, please?
Yes, I will. And Mr. Chair, if I would, I can explain the next 3 just for sake of clarity. They're kind of a package. But the next 3 ordinances on our agenda are the third readings of some stuff we've been working on for a while. The first ordinance that we're voting on right now does what it says here, increases the minimum lot size in the entire county. So with this passage, nothing in Kershaw County that the county controls would be allowed to be on less than 1/3 of an acre. That's still pretty small, but that 1/3 of an acre only applies where there is county sewer. So if sewer were not available, the minimum lot size would be 1/2 an acre. This is, I think, a huge win for the county. It's something that I know Councilman Jones and I have talked a lot about, Chairwoman Gwynn. I mean, everyone up here, we've talked a lot about. Every council member up here, it's been an issue we all hear about. And do you want me to explain the next 2 now, or just?
Well, I'll tell you, if we could, let's get through this one.
Gotcha.
And then we'll go to the next one, and I'll turn it back over to you at that time. Okay, so are you okay to say we go for a vote, or?
Yeah, I'm fine to vote.
Call for the vote.
I'm calling for the vote. All those in favor? It's unanimous. The record shows unanimous. Now, B, third reading case 2311. I'm going to turn this over and let you explain it. I'm going to ask for a motion on the floor. Is there a motion on the floor for third reading case 23-11?
I would make that motion for a third reading on 23-11.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, I'd like to start with Mr. Shoemaker.
Yes, this third reading ordinance is basically, we have a conservation table in our current ordinance. It's never been used. There was one entity that was considering applying, but now based on the new minimum lot sizes, they wouldn't be eligible. So we're not abandoning conservation districts. We're in the middle of a ZLDR rewrite. Hopefully it'll be finished by this year. So we'll bring a conservation table, or the plan is to bring a conservation table back in. But since it's not being used, it sort of pulls that off the table while we're doing our rewrite. It's mostly clerical.
Thank you, Mr. Shoemaker. Anybody else?
Please. Thank you, sir.
And I apologize if I looked over you. I didn't mean to do that.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Councilman Shoemaker, I want to appreciate the explanation that you gave me after the last meeting. I voted against this, but knowing that it's going to come back around in a different form, I can support it tonight. And conservation, I've seen these developments in other counties. That's why I was against getting rid of it completely. But knowing it's coming back, I mean, these can be really nice neighborhoods, really fun neighborhoods, where families can get out and ride four-wheelers or whatnot on a bigger piece of property. And not all of the subdivision is developed into housing. So I actually like this very much. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Browse. Any other comments? All right, let's call for the vote. All in favor? Let it show this unanimous. Current members that are here, Madam Chair is not here. All right, let's move along to C. Third reading case 2312. And this is one you put on the.
Yeah, the next two are. Yeah.
Did you go ahead with this one?
I would make a motion that we move on, or that we have third reading on case 2312.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
And this one is just fixes a typo in the table involving triplexes and duplexes. It's just a typo fix.
Give a quick explanation if you don't mind.
Yeah, so sure. So basically we had triplexes and quadruplexes listed incorrectly. And so it basically just takes that out to fix it. It was right in one column and wrong in the other. And this just eliminates those categories that didn't even apply.
Any other comments? Well, thank you, Mr. President, all those who've been working on this. I think this is a move in the right direction. All right, so we had a motion, a second discussion. Any other discussion? I call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. Let it be known as unanimous, minus Chairman Gwynn, who is not here at the moment. Okay, let's move down to E.
D.
I said D. What'd you say, Mr. Tucker?
Dog.
Third reading case 2310. Mr. Schumate.
I would make a motion that we have third reading on case 2310.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
And just the final explanation on the last one of the packet is 2310. Obviously, we're increasing minimum lot size. As a companion to that, we used to have in our most dense area the ability to have 6 mobile homes, and this brings it down to 3, so that the mobile home density is basically equals what would be the minimum lot size. So it sort of is in keeping with that. And then with this on third reading with this passed, this is one of our major overhaul that's been done in a long time. And I'm just, if I can say one more thing, Councilman Jones, there was a map going around that some of you probably saw of this really dense development in Camden. And not to get too in the weeds on that, but I would like to say that sketch showed pretty small lot sizes. Assuming that area was zoned R6, those lot sizes would have been permissible in the county. After today, a development like that would not be possible, regardless, because those would be smaller than the minimum lot sizes. So that's one concrete example of how we're making an immediate change in Kershaw County.
Thank you, Mr. Schumate.
If I may, I'd like to say I've been on council for 2.5 years. This is some of the best work that we've done. And we did it together, and we did it unified as a team. And I think it keeps Kershaw County. Most of the complaints we hear about traffic and high-density development, those national builders, they're coming this way. And I think this still gives them an opportunity to be here, but they're going to have to play by Kershaw County's rules, and I like it like that. This is good for Kershaw County. Thank everyone.
Well, this county
Thank you
council
all.
has been very proactive in that, and there's been a lot of talk about what people are going to do, what we were going to do, members of council, the last few years. But I will say this council has taken action and moved forward. Thank y'all for that. Is any other comments on this one? All right, I call for the vote. All in favor? Third reading case 2310. Let it be known as unanimous. Minus Katie Gwynn, who isn't here at the moment. All right, we're moving down to E. Second reading of an ordinance authorizing an amendment to the agreement of development of joint county industrial park by and between Kershaw County, South Carolina, and Fairfield County, South Carolina, to expand the boundaries of the park to include real property and other related matters. First reading was on August 8th. Public hearing September 12th is scheduled. Do I have any?
Madam Chair, Mr. Chair.
I'm not a madam.
I'm slipping. Make a motion to approve a second reading on the expansion of our industrial joint park.
Second.
There's a second by Mr. Brazel, motion by Mr. Tucker. Any comments? How about somebody give some explanation for the public?
Well, I'm happy to. This is where we do our joint parks, for economic development reasons and partnership. And This just happens to be one that we're doing with Fairfield County. We've got them with Lee County, Sumter County, surrounding counties. It's a Mr. Burgess thing that we do to grow our economic development opportunities.
Very good. Anybody else? Any comments?
And just to clarify, this is just updating an existing agreement that has been in place for years, and it's just updating.
Correct. This adds the Pinnacle Precast properties to the multi-county park. Pinnacle Precast has a FILO agreement that is standalone, but it was always contemplated that they would come into the park. It provides certain additional job credits to job creators. There are provisions that allow for grant receipts and assistance by the county in developing the park. So that's the main reason for it.
Thank you, Mr. Trevez.
Anything else? Okay, this is E, correct, Mr. Tucker?
Yes, sir.
Just want to make sure you didn't forget.
Yes, sir.
All those in favor, second reading? Let the record show that it's unanimous, and Madam Chair is not here for a vote. She'll be back shortly. All right, moving quite along to F, first reading case 2313. In order to amend the zoning map of Kershaw County to rezone approximately plus minus 4.5 acres, 4.05 acres of property 33600-00-00055 and 336-01-01-001. All right, owner of Valerie Hyman and located in the south side of Jupiter Road, approximately 0.10 miles west of the intersection with Watts Hill Road, Lugoff, South Carolina, from RD2 to Rural Resource District to B2, General Business District. Do I have a motion? Hold up, don't say that. Okay, there's no motion on the table. Okay, all right, no motion on the table, we move along.
So it fails, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, G, first reading case 23-15, an ordinance to amend ordinances number 258-2, 2015. Excuse me. The amended and restated Kershaw County Stormwater Management Ordinance to clarify that Kershaw County does not have mandatory monitoring and enforcement responsibility for permits issued by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control outside of the small municipality separate front stormwater system, SMS4, and to clarify the responsibilities of the stormwater management. And of course, the public hearing is scheduled for the 12th of September 2023. To have a motion, put this on the floor.
Mr. Vice Chair, I make a motion that we approve first reading of the ordinance 23-15.
Good. Is there a second?
I would second that.
Is there any discussion?
We get some explanation from
Yes. Mr. DeBose or Mr. Templar, could we have some discussion on that or clarification?
Yeah, Mr. Vice Chair. So Kershaw County, like many counties in our state that have urbanized areas, has delegated responsibility for permitting, monitoring, and enforcement of discharges into what DHEC defines as the Small Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System, the SMS4. That delegation of authority occurred in 2007. Roughly contemporaneous with that, Kershaw County passed its stormwater ordinance to ensure that it was in compliance of the permit that it has to administer within that urbanized area. It's mainly, just for y'all's reference, Lugoff area and Elgin.
Thank you.
Outside of that designated geographic area, though, Kershaw County was not delegated authority from SEDHEC to enforce and monitor SEDHEC permits. In the MS4, the county issues permits, monitors them, enforces them. Outside of the SMS4, there's no responsibility or delegation of that authority to the county. That original ordinance was written in a way to comply with the SMS4 area. So it has some mandatory verbiage in it about imposition of fines. This amendment to the ordinance makes some of those shalls into mays so that there is some discretion in the county in whether the county wants to enforce DHEC's permits stormwater permits outside of the area that the county is legally responsible from dealing with those permits. So in other words, outside of the SMS4, this ordinance could be read to impose some mandatory obligations on Kershaw County to enforce DHEC permits. DHEC is the enforcement agency outside of the SMS4. This just makes it clear that if Kershaw, it still allows Kershaw to enforce stormwater outside of the SMS4. If there were issues that DHEC was not addressing, that Kershaw County felt the need to address itself, it certainly would have the power to do so. It is just clarifying that it is not mandated or required to undertake that enforcement of DHEC permits outside of that area where we have to enforce them and have to administer them ourselves as a county.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification, that dissertation. Is there any other?
I'll just, if I can, Mr. Vice Chair. Right now, Mr. DeBose, we're being pulled into some areas that are very gray and could cost the county a lot of money to enforce some stormwater control. And
That's probably a fair statement, yes.
Okay.
And the staff has, Kershaw County has finite resources for stormwater monitoring and enforcement. The area that Kershaw County definitely has to monitor and enforce is the SMS4. If the county doesn't, there are consequences through DHEC for not enforcing and monitoring there. So
But DHEC needs to do a better job on their end.
With limited resources, though, again, this just makes clear that Kershaw County, for lack of a better term, doesn't have to be the attack dog for DHEC on DHEC permits that we are not legally required to enforce.
When it's fair to say too, Mr. DeBose, that another downside of enforcing it is when Kershaw County steps in and says, this must be done, a legal argument can be made that they then own the responsibility for those things that might be done the wrong way or might be ordered the wrong way. In other words, by inserting yourself into the situation, the county could in fact invite liability upon itself and potentially.
That's fair.
Anything? Thank you, Mr. Schuman. Anything else? Any other council members?
Just a quick clarification. So this is just putting pretty much another protective measure on Kershaw County for future, say if we were to maybe go outside of our SM4 or.
Well, yeah, the county can still enforce outside of the SMS4, has to enforce within the SMS4. This just makes clear that for a DHEC permit, which DHEC administers outside of the SMS4, the county does not have to handle the enforcement of that DHEC issued permit. It can if it wants to, if they're grave enough
But
issues.
no legal
the
requirement
county
to.
can, but yeah, DHEC handles its own enforcement basically, and Kershaw handles its own enforcement.
Well, this is good stuff.
The way I see it, it's a little bit of reform work, and it does away with some bureaucracy.
Absolutely.
And it helps the country folks stay in the country because we're not city folks. So.
Thank you, Mr. Brazel. Is there any other questions or comments or discussion? All right, having seen there isn't, all those in favor of first reading, case 23-15, raise your hand. Let the record show that it is unanimous. Honest, Madam Chair is not present. All right, let's move along. H. First reading, case 23-16, an ordinance to amend Kershaw County, South Carolina Unified Code of Zoning and Land Development Regulations to amend Section 3.5 to allow the maximum permitted time of stay for recreational vehicles or trailers in camps and recreational vehicle parks to be 9 consecutive months per year, and provide procedures for operators to maintain guest registries. And a public hearing is scheduled for the 12th on September 23. Is there a motion to put this on the floor?
I would move to put this on the floor.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. If I'm not mistaken, Mr. Schuman, you've been working on this, haven't you?
Yes, Mr. Chair. So what this does, our current ordinance has a 3-month time limit and no registration requirement. So there are a couple of businesses in Kershaw County. Mr. Renfro's RV Campground, who is here with us today, is one of them. And what the problem that comes up with the 3 months is someone may come here for a long-term job and need more than 3 months. So the proposed amendment that I'd ask initially asked to kind of draft and it's went through zoning, does two things. One, it adds the 9 months. What it also does is has a registration. This mirrors a state requirement. The state generally requires these parks to have the registration. What this allows our zoning folks to do is go and see those books as well, because it puts an enforcement mechanism to it. There has been, just from, and this is where I'm going to speak for myself, there's been some discussion about having no limit. I would like, my personal opinion is to do it this way, see how it goes. I'm not opposed to revisiting it, but my vote would be for this 9 months, and then, check with those RV parks later and see how it is. Obviously, we could amend it again, but that is an explanation of the ordinance and sort of my general take on it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I agree completely with everything you just said.
Okay. Well, I'll have a little bit of, just some discussion. You know my amendment at the last meeting?
Yes, sir.
Okay, how did you take that into consideration?
I did, and again, it goes back to what we talked about. I think, again, I'm not inherently opposed to it. I would like to see it go back particularly to Chris's place and just see how it's been doing. I'm certainly not opposed to it. I think where you and I agree, Councilman Jones, is we want to do everything we can to support the Kershaw County businesses. If this ordinance isn't doing enough, I have no trouble revisiting it.
Okay, because I'm for taking the bureaucracy out of it, but I appreciate what you've done. You've done a great job on this. This is a huge improvement. It's just I'm having heartburn limiting them.
I understand.
And especially when they've already been through so much, with the county. This is first reading.
Yeah, so we can still make amendments.
So, I'm going to just wait. I'll support this in this form tonight, but I'll probably be making an amendment at the next meeting.
Understand.
Is there any other comments? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand, 23-16. Let the record show that it is unanimous for first reading, okay? Minus Madam Chair, who's not here. Okay, first reading. Okay. Madam Chair put this on the agenda. I'm going to take the Vice Chair's prerogative and skip over this and move to the next, I'm going to skip over I and move to J. I base lease and operation agreement for Mount Pisgah. I guess I have a vote to bring this to the table.
Vice Chair,
thank you.
It was a little typo. This is supposed to be a first reading of the ordinance to approve the base lease and operating agreement for the Mount Pisgah Resource Center.
Legal clarification.
Yeah, it's under the ordinance header and listed as J in there. The ordinance is included. I mean, I think it's clear that it's a ordinance reading and a first ordinance reading.
So we're okay for that?
Yeah, correct. I think y'all are legally fine for you. It's been published. It's
very good. Then I call for a motion on the floor.
Vice Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we accept Ordinance 9J for the base lease agreement and operating agreement for the Mount Pisgah Resource Center.
I'll second.
Okay, second by Councilman Brandt Thomason. Okay, would you give, can I get some clarification from the attorney first?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Would you give me some clarification on this?
Yeah, so property conveyances from governmental entities require an ordinance to divest yourself of property or some right, title, or interest in property. County is leasing this former school site that it acquired from the school district to Mount Pisgah Community and Resource Center. The county previously appropriated funds for the operation of that community center and the improvement of it. They are currently operating this base lease and operating agreement as a formality so that everybody has the rules of the road, the controls for maintenance and upkeep of the facility. It establishes a 5-year lease term with a 5-year auto renewal absent action by either party to cancel. That said, when it reaches 10 years, it would require further action or approval by Kershaw County Council to have a lease term extend past 10 years. It recites a $1 a year lease payment. This is a 501c3 nonprofit providing community services in the area. Again, that was envisioned when the money was appropriated in 22-23.
Okay, I think we get it. I want to apologize. Thank you so much, Mr. President. I want to apologize to Councilman Cato. I know you've worked very hard on this. You want to...
No apology needed. He explained it better than I could have, but that's the attorney in him, I guess. But anyway, real brief. Again, as he stated, this is the Mount Pisgah Resource Center. It's been established It's taken us a little while to get this agreement written, and of course, with this county and this council's had a lot going on, but it's just now come to tuition, and I asked my fellow colleagues to support this, and we get this agreement signed.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Danny, if it's important to you and your community, it's important to me.
Okay, enough of the love fest. All right. All in favor, raise your hand. Let it be shown that it is unanimous for first reading, Mr. DeVos.
Correct.
First, okay, I just want to make sure because it wasn't on here. Very good. All right. Moving along to number 10, resolutions. Inducement resolution, Project Tree. Mr. Templer or Mr. DeVos. First off, do I have a motion to put this on the floor?
I'll move to put it on the floor.
Second.
Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Did you get that, Ms. Hannah?
Give some, if you would, Mr. Templer or Mr. DeVos, give some explanation on that.
So this inducement resolution is not dissimilar from Project Creed, and I believe it was 1802. This is, inducement resolutions are just that, a resolution. It's a statement of intent. It's not 100% binding on the county, but it states that if this project comes and invests the $80 million that they anticipate to invest, that a FELO would be entered with the entity at that time to assist them in their economic development project. It's a promise to do something later and support an eventual FELO. But again, it's a resolution, not binding, just a statement of intent, future intent.
Any discussion?
None needed. I saw $80 million investment in Kershaw County. All I needed.
Anybody else got anything to say? All right, all those in favor, Project Tree, raise your hand. Let the record show that it is unanimous, Madam Chair. Okay, new business. Tourism Advisory Committee, ATAC appointments. I ask for this, a motion for this to be put on the floor.
I'll move that this be put on the floor, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion?
Well, Mr. Chair, I would like to make a nomination. Forgive me. Would this be the right time? So I would like to nominate Mr. Chris Renfro to the ATAX committee. Just mentioned him earlier. Mr. Renfro started a business. So under the statutory requirements of the ATAX committee, he would be in both lodging and hospitality. So he would fit that storage. Could I ask him to come up to the front? Is that
Yes,
okay?
absolutely.
Mr. Renfro, if you could come up to the front. So Mr. Renfro, in addition to working a full-time normal job, has started with his wife, who also works a full-time normal job as a school teacher. They've started the Renfro Ranch Campground down on Highway 12 in Lugoff. They've already got some folks there that are camping there. You guys did a movie night the other night. And so it's a great business that really shows, homegrown local Kershaw County business. And I think that we have no one from District 3 on the ATAX committee. So to have somebody that lives in District 3 on the ATAX who just started a business, particularly a business in the area of hospitality and lodging, I think he'd be a perfect fit for that. So I would like to nominate Mr. Chris Renfro to the ATAX committee.
Mr. Vice Chair, point of order right quick. Is there another candidate for this, or can we go with a motion versus a nomination?
I'll be glad to change. I apologize. I'll be glad to change it to nomination. Are we required to do nomination, or can we do motion?
So on a nomination, typically, yes, you would just have a nomination. Nominations typically don't require a second.
Correct.
And the presiding chair or vice chair in this case.
Here's what I'd like to do. I got it. I get it. I'd like to leave it up to y'all. Do y'all want to do nomination or do motion?
Well, if there's only one candidate, do a motion and then we can vote and get it over with.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Yes.
Yep.
Motion.
Motion.
Motion. I would make a motion that Chris Renfro be nominated and appointed to the ATAX committee.
Favor? First off, is any discussion?
I would just reiterate my previous comments. Thank you.
Favor? Congratulations. It's unanimous.
It's cleaner that way.
Yeah. Good job.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay, moving to B, Airport Commission appointments. I'd like to ask, is there, open for nominations on this? Go ahead.
So, Mr. Chair, I guess the way I'll do it then is I would make a motion to nominate Mr. Paul Curtis to the Airport Commission from District 3.
Make a motion to appoint.
Make a motion to nominate and appoint Mr. Paul Curtis to the Airport Commission from
You
District.
just said nomination.
Leave that nomination word out your mouth.
Wait a minute.
I'll make a motion to appoint.
How many openings?
I don't know how many applicants there are. I believe 2 openings on the Airport Commission. I don't know how many people are being, I'm making this nomination.
2 people here, do we not? 3? Okay.
Right, I'm saying in terms of people being nominated tonight. I know there are more than 1 opening. I don't know who else is putting people up tonight.
Okay.
There are 2 current openings, correct?
Yeah, Ms. White, are you here? There you are. And you have signed up for the Airport Commission as well, haven't you? Yeah, well, let's do nomination, because I'm going to nominate Mr. White.
Okay.
Okay, and you nominate?
Mr. Paul Curtis.
Okay, nominations need no second, if I'm not mistaken. Am I correct on that? Okay, I'd like to,
close the nomination?
excuse me. Yes, I'd like to close the nomination.
So,
And what? Don't interrupt. All right. You got something you want to say, Mr. Bose?
just to be clear, I know you referenced another applicant. We just have 1 nomination at this time or 2 nominations?
It's just, okay.
Okay.
Can you repeat the names, Mr. Vice Chair?
Yes, if you would repeat the names.
Mr. Paul Curtis would be my nominee.
And Mr. White, where you at? Would you stand up, please? I think you came and spoke to us at the last meeting. Okay, well, that's going to be my nominations. How many vacancies do we have on this?
Ms. Hannah, is it correct? We have 2?
I was thinking 3.
Okay.
Okay, is there a third nomination? Because we have,
That's Mr. Borowski.
Do we have a list of all the candidates who have applied for Airport Commission?
Ms. Hannah has all that. I think it was in our last packet.
call the names out. Ms. Hannah, please, please. I don't mean to sound so bossy, it's just,
You don't.
At least your beard looks good.
I thought that too. Bear with us one second.
The gentleman that just came in.
Oh, yeah. What's his name? Okay.
Mr.
Mr.
Chair.
Scott Chambers.
Mr. Chair. The one thing I would note is, and I don't, forgive me, I don't know the technicality of how this will work, but it looks like the gentleman who spoke at this earlier meeting, or earlier today, I believe he has put his name in the hat. I don't know if he's on that list.
Mr. Chambers on that list, Ms. Hannah?
We've got Paul Curtis and Paul White.
Scott Chambers is listed on the list.
Is
Yes? Okay. All right.
He is. Mr. Scott Chambers, where are you, sir?
He spoke earlier.
Yeah, that's the
Right.
gentleman who spoke earlier.
Okay, so how many nominations we got? I know one I did Mr. Paul White. You did Mr. Paul Curtis.
Yes, sir.
Is there another?
Yes, sir. If you reopen them, I would like to nominate Mr. Scott Chambers.
We're still open. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we have 3 nominations. Scott Chambers, Paul White, and Paul Curtis, and they're all present, I believe. I will take this. I'll do mine first. All those in favor of Mr. Paul White, raise your hand. Congratulations. It's unanimous. Thank you. All right, all those in favor of Mr. Paul Curtis, raise your hand. Let the record show that it's unanimous. And I'm losing my train here. Oh, yeah, Mr. Scott or Chambers, all in favor? Let the record show that it's unanimous, Mr. Chair. Okay, any discussion? I think we've had a discussion. Anything else?
I would just like to congratulate these folks, and I know that it looks like we may have had some additional folks that wanted on, but obviously reach out to us because, we still have plenty of vacancies on boards and commissions, and I know we all appreciate everybody coming out here eager to serve.
Okay, we've got them on the floor. All those in favor? Go ahead.
I'm ready to vote.
Yeah, that's what I said. All those in favor of the 3 nominations, raise your hand. Let the record show it's unanimous. Madam Chair, who's not here, and let's move on. Congratulations, guys.
Mr. Vice Chair.
What?
Ms. Hannah, is that completes that board? Is it filled now? The airport, okay, thank you. Just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
Thank everyone for serving.
All right. So we move to the Health Service District. What I would like to do is Ask, is there a motion for seat 3?
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion to appoint Mr. Leo Scott to seat 3 on the Health Services District.
Second.
Any discussion?
I would just, Mr. Scott, I think he left. I know he said he had a revival to go to at his church, but he did come in. He was here. I saw him in the back. Yeah, I saw him in the back. But Mr. Scott has served on the Health Services District. He was in that weird statutory zone where he was only able to serve 2 years, even though it's a 6-year commitment. So he's asked to be reappointed. And just for clarification, once his 6 years is up, he can't go back on. So it's not like he'll be there in perpetuity. He's got a finance background. Again, he's a good guy. I went to high school with him, but I was a little bit older, I believe, than he is. But good guy doing good stuff. Again, and that background in finance is critical for the work they're doing. So that's it.
You did good. Thank you so much. Let me make myself clear on this. I am going to support your motion for seat 3 because that is your council privilege being in your district. And I would certainly want y'all to support me if I made a motion for somebody in my district at that time. So I respect that. So having said that, any further comments? What are you looking at me for?
Because I love you.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
All those in favor? The record show that is unanimous. Now we're moving to the at-large seat, and I'm going to ask, is there a motion on the floor for seat 8 at large?
Mr. Vice Chair, if I can, you want to do motion or nomination? I do have a motion at this time if you'd like to make it.
Well, if you want to do it, well, you can do a motion.
Yes, sir. I would like to make a motion for Mr. Donnie Wilson to be reappointed into this at-large seat. He was another one of these health district members that have served a odd time due to we had to stagger the terms on the health district because we renovated or breathed life back into a new board once the hospital was sold and settled. And so he has a full term yet that he can serve. He's a financial wizard. He does a very good job on the hospital district, but he did even a better job at the school district for many, many years that he was there until he retired. And I think that not appointing Mr. Wilson back on his board would be a very tragedy to this community because, number one, he is definitely duly and well qualified, and he is wanting to serve, and that's what we want to do, have our citizens to serve, be happy, and give their all. So for those reasons, I make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Actually, you were speaking before we had the second.
I did, and I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'll just let you go on it.
Yes, appreciate
Is
it.
there any discussion? No discussion. Well, I want to make it clear to myself that I'm going to abstain from this. I don't agree with some of the procedures on this open seat. However, I'm going to abstain and ask, and one, Donnie Wilson is a fine man, but he has nothing to do with my abstention. All right. All those in favor, raise your hand. Let the record show that Councilman Brazel, Councilman Tucker, Councilman Shoemake, Councilman Cato, Councilman Brent Thompson vote in favor. I abstain. It carries. All right, moving along. Old business. Is there any old business? None? Let's move to council briefings.
Mr. Jones,
What?
may I start?
Yes.
Council briefings?
Absolutely.
A question for the administrator. Mr. Templar, we have discussed in the past having issues with having to kind of sub out our building inspectors. Do we have any jobs posted to bring that back in-house the way it was for years?
We do, and we have it advertised at a very competitive rate. But because of the market for third-party contractors like Safe Built, it's a much more lucrative and appealing job to work for a third party than it is a county or a city. So it's not from a lack of effort. We would love to, we still have our vacancies ongoing. It's our goal to have that in-house, but right now we just don't have that luxury.
So at the end of the day, if math works the way I think it does, they're paying them more, and then we're paying them, and they're profiting off of us. So what I would like to see is I would like to see us raise our in-house pay so that we're not having to pay an outside agency to profit off of the taxpayers. And I think we would have more control of how we act and how we serve the community if we were to do this. I know I'm mentioning this in my council briefings, but I think it's very important to Kershaw County and to the people that build homes and barns and anything in Kershaw County that needs inspection for us to put extra effort. And if the market's driven to pay higher, I think we have to follow the market in some form or fashion, because I feel like we're spending more money with an outside agency than paying someone to work for us directly. Does that make sense to you? Is that
It does, and we're always going to, in some areas, some very specialized areas, obviously spend more money on a contractor, engineering, or anything of that nature. It's a specialized, very cerebral skill set. So, yes, we would love to have it in-house. It would save money. We're certainly looking at all options. So we'll continue to work on it.
I would just like to ask that you make that a priority, and if you need...
Make a timeline, please.
Yeah.
Because I agree with everything you're saying. I think well said. I'm glad you're bringing this up.
Do you think you could report back to us in 30 days and show us maybe what you've done to improve that situation?
Sure.
Okay.
And if I could just say this, I know there's been I've had my phone ringing. I'm sure y'all have too. But at the end of the day, whether it's a third party or whether it's our staff, we're going to enforce the International Building Code. It hasn't been enforced to the fullest for a long time, and it's our obligation to enforce building codes for quality building. I can't ask either an outside third-party contractor who is licensed or our own staff who is licensed to compromise their integrity on anything or a building issue, because they have licenses to maintain as well. So it's a very deep-rooted situation to where with planning and zoning, we're turning a corner and we're really starting to enforce things that should have been enforced a long time ago. The net result is a better, safer, quality built home. So I say all that to say there's just a lot at play with this, and I fully understand what you're saying. I'll be glad to look at everything we can do, roll up our sleeves, come back with something in 30 days. Some things I would much rather contract out, but this is something I would much rather have in-house. So.
Being in and around home building all my life, I know that it's important to have somebody, if a contractor's in a pinch and they need an answer, if we have to go through 6, 8, 10 hoops to get them the answer they need, and if we don't have somebody on staff that could respond the way that we should be able to, I know that's hurtful to their business, and I just don't want that to happen.
And to your point, I was just going to finish with, in that is one of the services that we provide where I think relationships is important. And when you have the same inspector and dealing with the same builders, you know your builders, I think that relationship piece is key.
They
for
build
quality
trust.
service. Yes.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Yes.
All right, so for clarification, you asked me to come back in 30 days with some information.
Yes, sir.
Well said. I agree with your comments there, Mr. Breslin. Appreciate you bringing that up. Mr. Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. A few things. I just want to say again to the Butler family, thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing your family, loved one, Mr. Sidney, with us for those many years that we've had him here, and just wish you Godspeed moving forward. If there's anything I personally can do, and I'm going to speak for my colleagues as well, or this council, please don't hesitate to reach out to us or the administrator so we can assist you in your matters. But we thank you for sharing. With that, I would like to just say that I had an opportunity to go a couple of weeks now, I think it's been, to Bethune. Met with the mayor and Councilman Heflin in touring some of the facilities up there that has in the past been given to the county. And we're in the process of looking at those. And there's other council members going, such as Mr. Cato. But they're in the process, should I say, of really having some good things happen. Take the old school up there. They've got United Way in that building. They got Council on Aging in that building. And they're really working on trying to revive and thrive up there in Bethune. So I'm asking all of you, if you get an opportunity, I know we still have to do a recreation tour, and we've got some other areas, but when you go up there, just look at what may exist and give us an opportunity to partner with the town of Bethune. And there's some properties that was given to us while myself and Councilman Jones sat on this council that might be better fit back with the town. But that's something we need to discuss as a whole. And but we need to get the information and figure out what we own and what works best and so forth. So on that note, I will leave that be. September 1st, this is my financial committee report. We met last week, I believe, with the sheriff and had conversation in reference to his budget. Madam Chair was there, myself, Councilman Tomlinson, and Councilman Shoemate. We end up taking in the information that he was requesting, and we're due to meet again to give a report back to him on September the 1st at 3 p.m., room 207. So just wanted to update the public, and there will be a public notice go out, and update council members that may not know of that set date, that we will be meeting back with the sheriff and staff on September the 1st at 3 p.m. The last thing I want to say is thank you. Well, I got two more things. Thank you to all the board members tonight and all the board members who are serving in our community. Without you, we could not get a lot of things done. There's a lot of work come from good board work. And that's in every organization you have. It's either committees or boards or whatever. They do the legwork, the hard stuff, and then we make the decisions up here. And you keep those organizations and those very vital entities that's a part of our county rolling, and we appreciate that to the fullest. And I want to say to everyone, have a happy, safe Labor Day weekend next week. We're going to roll into that, one of the most dangerous weekends that we have in the United States, so stay safe and stay sober, or walk, as Sydney says. If you can't walk, crawl. If you can't crawl, move. But anyway, thank you so very much. And Madam Chair, that concludes my report.
If I could, Madam Chair, since you just walked in, I just want to make sure that you know that I, under first reading, amend the related ordinance to Kershaw County Council determining our rules. We did not act on that.
Okay, we need to get back to India. Okay.
And I was going to go to Derek Shoemate next, but you do whatever you want.
Okay, Mr. Shoemake.
Okay, so continue. All right. I have a couple things. First, thank you, Councilman Jones, for handling the meeting, although good to have you back, Madam Chair. I want to also thank Councilman Jones and Madam Chair for joining me about 2 weeks ago now for a town hall that we did in Elgin. I want to thank the county administrator, Mr. Templar. Our planning and zoning director was there. We had 3 engineers from DOT, the superintendent of the school board, and Mr. Smith, the operations director, the mayor of Elgin, and 2 members of Elgin Town Council. It was a group that could address virtually any question that was asked, and a lot were asked. And I hope to do this regularly, not so much that people stop coming, but once or twice a year. And I want to do it like a report card. I want to begin those meetings with seeing where we went last time and what we've achieved and what we need to do better. So again, I really appreciate those who attended the town hall. Also want to thank those who went to the Watery Trash Festival. Mr. Webb was up here earlier. We had a great opportunity to chat. He was out there killing himself. He's just an amazing guy. So we had a wonderful chance to talk about various issues. So there was a lot of trash collected. I want to really thank the Clean Communities Commission. They do great work, and we need to make sure that we're there to support them and really all our partners. So I appreciate all the partners with the county. I also want to give a specific word to some of the neighbors of Indian Meadows, who I'm sure are listening to this. We've been talking to these neighbors, Danny and I, for some time. Their neighborhood has a lot of work. It's been neglected for a bit, but under Danny's leadership, we're in the middle of a paving project, and we're going to do a lot of things. Unfortunately, I can pretty much guarantee it won't be all the things the neighborhood would like, because it's 20 years of kind of catching up, but they will see progress. So I appreciate them reaching out, and we'll continue to be in touch. The very last thing I want to say is a bit of a slight personal note. So yesterday was the eclipse, and yesterday was the anniversary of the solar eclipse that happened here across Columbia. And a lot of us were out celebrating. One horrible thing that happened that day is that about an hour before the eclipse that day, a man named Brandon Michael Council went into a Crestcom Bank in Conway and killed the two tellers. One was a young lady named Katie Skeen, who had young children. The other, Donna Major, who had grandchildren. They were about to go to lunch, and he came in and shot them down. I was one of three gentlemen that prosecuted Mr. Council. He's in Terre Haute, Indiana, on death row. And it was a tough case, but the reason I bring that up is it's easy to lose people and have them go into the ether. So every year at this time, I always say to myself, remember Donna and Katie, and just publicly for their families, I just want you to know that, every year there's somebody who will always remember those ladies. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schumack. Mr. Jones.
Thank you. Welcome back, Madam Chair. Just a couple of things I want to speak on right briefly. First off, the Butler family. Again, I was humbled and honored to be a part of this, and there is a sign being made that we're going to put in a strategic location, I think, on the Butler property facing the road on Wildwood Lane in honor of Mr. Butler, Sidney Butler. And again, we'll be getting in touch with you on that. Have you got an update on that, Danny?
It should be finished. We should have that plaque finished.
Yeah, we'll be moving. We'll be contacting you folks on that as well. We're very proud to have you here tonight. Thank you. Okay, I just want to give a couple of comments that I have, and the first one is dealing with recreation administrative proposals. 3 plans were submitted to this county council: an upgrade on existing Woodward Park, an upgrade on existing Larry Dobbs complex, and an upgrade on both parks. I voted to use the money for essential infrastructure needs other than the ballparks at that time. But these 3 proposals are better than, I think, the crazy proposal to build a whole new park on land we don't own. Of the 3 proposals, I think Larry Dobbs complex, just at this moment, should be the first choice, and that's just my opinion. And I was the first to suggest that it makes the most sense of the 3 proposals, in my opinion. I'm usually right when I say something like that. The proposal as a new park adjacent to Woodward Park or on land that we do not own is about the craziest thing I've ever heard of, my opinion. The original Woodward Park proposal for over $15 million for a whole new park is what I call the crazy project. All right, now, having said that, let me move on to something else that it's kind of just struck a chord with me, and it's the reburial of the remains of the heroic soldiers. And I have some comments and statements I want to make here, then I'll move on. The South Carolina Battlefield Trust came to Kershaw County Council and got $35,000 from the citizens of Kershaw County for a reburial, which they said would be open to the public as a ceremony reburying the remains of the heroic revolutionary soldiers. Instead, the Battlefield Trust took the money and had an event on public property that was paid for by public money. And they said is a private event. It came to my attention that the Battlefield Trust and Historic came and invited certain people and told the Kershaw County taxpayers and the chair of this council that you are not invited. Inappropriate. This is despicable and disservice to all veterans. I'm a veteran. We have many veterans up here, and the chair, who is active duty military and has served in a war zone. And here's where I'm going, Ms. Templin. I want you to write this down, Mr. DeBose. Y'all hear me loud and clear. I want to determine who was invited, who gave permission to exclude the public, and the veterans that were attending. I am asking the administrator to get the records from the Battlefield Trust in Historic Camden as to who was invited and who got permission to exclude veterans, including the chair of this council, who just happened to go up there and was asked to leave. She wasn't invited. I want any and all, y'all better be writing this down, because I'm really expecting this back, somebody. I want any and all documents pertaining to and accounting for use of the public funds. I want accountability. I want to know what it was spent for. By Historic Camden and the Battlefield Trust for the private reburial that excluded the public, and to me insulted our chair. I don't agree with her on everything. I get frustrated sometimes. I don't even want to sit by her up here. The bottom line is she's doing a good job. I'm sure she don't want to sit by me some nights. But this to me was despicable, and I expect an explanation, because when you give $35,000 of public money, there isn't any such thing as private. And I would, Mr. DeBose and Ms. Temple, I expect some kind of report on that in the next county council meeting. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the county council. I think that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Tomlinson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to say thank you to everybody who is willing to give their time and effort to serve on our boards and commissions, who serve our nonprofits for our community. You know, together, our greatest asset for Kershaw County is our people. Together, we can continue to make Kershaw County a great place, and we need more people to step up and, you know, give their time and energy. And just wanted to really, really thank everybody who does, because, you know, time and energy is not free. And I know that everybody is busy and they have lives outside, but people who are willing to volunteer their time is a huge asset. I'm gonna pull a playbook out of Councilman Jones' deck of cards and wrote down my comments. There's been some rumors going around, you know, regarding housing complex on social media and other media aspects. And I decided, you know, Kershaw County is a great place, and it's a place I love. You know, growing up here, it's been wonderful, and I enjoy raising my 2 children here and look forward to one day hopefully having grandchildren here. So if you'll bear with me, I'm going to read, and hopefully I'm a little bit more wordsmith than Councilman Jones is in his. It has come to my attention that there's potentially proposed development near the city of Camden, and partly in and around District 5, including District 6, which Councilman Cato represents. One of the plans to add a staggering 750 homes in our downtown community. To put that in perspective, with a current population standing at about 7,500 people in the city of Camden, so an estimated 2.6 residents per house. You know what that increase would be? 2,000 people. 2,000 people. 26% increase in growth with just one housing development. Is that what Kershaw County needs right now? People move here because we are a small community who loves each other, who's willing to step out and volunteer their time to make Kershaw County a better place. Our community's charm and character is determined by how thoughtful we progress and grow. We have to be responsible and manage our growth. We can't prevent growth, but doing it responsibly is the way to do it. This massive influx of residents would put an overwhelming strain on our community's infrastructure, roads, to include public services, utilities, and more. Let's not forget about our schools. Our schools are almost maxed out countywide. Are we going to risk our children's education and their future on this compromise? I won't stand for that. Rapid and reckless expansion isn't just about numbers. It's about risking the future of our young ones. Responsible growth is the backbone of a thriving community. A thriving community is what Kershaw County is. I believe in the importance of strategic and sustainable development, which aligns with our community's values and long-term vision. In our pursuit of progress, we must recognize that this level of full-throttle development must come to a halt. Unbridled, unrestrained growth does not serve our community. It doesn't have a place here in Kershaw County. We've got to be responsible. It threatens to overshadow the very essence of what makes our community unique and cherished and loved by everyone who lives here. We have a responsibility, not just us sitting up here on council, not just the 7 of us, each one of you, each resident in Kershaw County, to be stewards of our great community and continue to protect and preserve for our future. It is incumbent upon us as elected officials to take a stand against this kind of rampant expansion and irresponsible growth. Together, let's champion responsible growth, uphold the character of this community, and ensure that the heart of Camden, Kershaw County, Bethune, Elgin, Lugoff, all communities come together so we can have future generations and keep Kershaw County the place we love. Thank y'all so much for your time, and I'm going to pass the rest of my remarks to Councilman Cato because he also serves in the district that this proposed housing development has been rumored.
Thank you, Mr. Tomlinson. Mr. Cato.
Well, I'll start with that. I've got a few things that I want to say tonight, but I concur with everything that Mr. Tomlinson just said. You know, we look at these developments, especially this development here, 700 and some said 720, some said 750 houses. Think of the influx of children that we would have in our school system that's already, our schools are already at maximum capacity. A minimum of anywhere from 500 to 1,000 children. That'd be an extra, if every household had one car, another 750 cars going in and out of this small area in Camden. You know, one of the things that I have in this county is one of the largest geographical districts that we have, and it runs from over towards the Camden Country Club all the way up north to Bethune and Mount Pisgah, over to Westville and back over to Cassett to the Lee County line. I have a lot of different constituents, but there's one thing that they all agree on, and that is this county is growing too fast, and our infrastructure can't hold it. And we definitely cannot handle this kind of influx in the Camden part of District 6. And a lot of my constituents has expressed their concerns about that. And I want you to know, I am not in favor of this. Again, we have got to look at responsible growth. We've got to look at our densities. We've got to look at, you know, where would our ingress be? Where would the outgress be from this area? These streets, if you ride this area, are very small, narrow streets. To add that many vehicles and that many people would be unreal. I urge you to keep up with this matter, and if you're willing to fight this fight, I sure ask that you help us fight this fight to keep this from happening in District 6 and in the Camden area. Secondly, tonight, I would like to say that I had an opportunity to visit the farmer's market here a few weekends ago, and it was a great time. I've been there before. I've always enjoyed going to the farmer's market. I don't make it every weekend. This particular weekend, I got to judge the bake-off, and I've thought I had to make hard decisions up here, but that was very tough decisions. There's some of the best cupcakes and cakes, and Lord, I hope my mama's not listening and my wife's not listening, but some of the best cupcakes and cakes I have ever tasted, but and bread, and I gained a couple pounds. But anyway, I want to thank the farmers market. They do an outstanding job. They had lots of vendors and some entertainment. And if you ever get a chance to go out to the farmers market, I invite you to go and see what they have to offer. 100-degree days tough. I understand that, but it won't take you long to walk through. I know I'm going to make one comment about the burial of these soldiers, and I wasn't going to say anything, but because Councilman Jones has asked for some more detail, and I'd like to hear those details come out. But, it was put out that county council was asking for an investigation, and county council wasn't invited and didn't know it well. I didn't know anything about it at all. I wasn't briefed on it at all until I saw it on the news. So I was kind of left out too.
You weren't invited.
But I might have not have been invited, but I also didn't know about the comments that was posted either. Nobody let me know that this was an issue. I didn't know that this was an issue. I still don't know that it was an issue. My dad was a veteran. And I wasn't even going to say this, but I'm going to say this. I had multiple phone calls before I ever learned of what was going on, asking me why county council was asking for an investigation. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I didn't. The U.S. Army had control of the bodies. And that's nothing that we can control as the U.S. Army. But I look forward to seeing what information we gather and what comes out of this. And I may or may not have any more comments after that. But I appreciate this council. I appreciate the way business was handled tonight. And look forward to the next meeting. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Cato. All right. So Kershaw County has an opioid coalition. It's a group of people that meet regularly to determine the best way move forward with the settlement funds for the opioid crisis. And we have an opioid coalition manager now. And we just had our meeting last Wednesday, so I just wanted to let you guys know we had a great meeting. We're going to focus on education moving into this next era of funding, education in the community, in the rural community especially, on the use of Narcan and the drug overdoses in our community. So just wanted to give you an update on that. Mr. Templer and Mr. Tucker serve on that coalition with me. This might be a repeat, but there are 2 public comments that came in via email. Each council member should have got a copy of each at their desk when they came in. It was not in the agenda packet. It was just separate. Mr. Templer, when's the next comprehensive plan public meeting? I see Joey's here. Okay.
Speak to that.
All right, he's coming. And Joey, also, if you could tell us what the next step is after these public hearings are complete.
Sure. So the next, we've verified with the consultant that they're going to be back in town the first week of October.
Okay.
And right now it's October 3rd, where we're going to host a business breakfast in the morning for the business community. And then we are going to have a joint county council and County Planning Commission meeting in the afternoon, and then we're going to have a community visioning session that evening. So it's going to be a very busy day, but that's going to be October 3rd. And what we will be reviewing with the public it's called an existing conditions memorandum. That's all the data that they have gathered. That's part of the comprehensive plan that will help us develop those policies within the plan. So after this visit, the next step is actually developing those hardcore policies that we want to see in our comprehensive plan. And once we get probably about 2/3 into developing our policies, that's when we'll start updating the ZLDR, the land development regulations as well. So that comes into play a little bit later.
So October 3rd, Mr. Shoemaker, it sounds like we have some things to do during the day, and then the public will be invited to the evening meetings.
Yes.
Just one date, October 3rd?
Yes. And you had asked a secondary question.
At the conclusion of I think you answered it though, at the conclusion of the public meetings, we'll start the policy writing and compiling everything together.
Correct, yes.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Right, sure.
Also, Mr. Templer, are the Parks and Rec public meetings scheduled yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
get those out and start advertising very soon.
The boat ramp as well.
Yep.
Okay, an update on the jail plans, the architectural plans and the engineering plans.
Yes, so we are, they sent over a contract for the next step with the architectural pieces. There was a lot of struck language in there. I was not comfortable with signing the document, so it's over for legal review. Again, it was just pages upon pages. If it was one or two pieces, that would have been different, but a lot of struck language.
Will you just keep those three things, comprehensive plan, Parks and Rec, including the boat ramp and the jail plans, just in your brief every council meeting?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so I have a little bit of information about the counties, the Kershaw County Citizens Funds that went into the Camden burials. We budget annually $10,000 to support Historic Camden. The budgeted amount for maintenance of the Battle of Camden site is not a line item, so that's as needed per Public Works. Mr. Templer, do you have an approximate amount of how much the county contributed in preparing the battle site for the weekend?
It was an effort that spanned weeks and months, weekends. So our rough estimate is about $23,000.
Okay.
Talking fuel, equipment, and things.
And then manpower.
Yes.
Okay. So in addition to the fuel, the equipment, the manpower, all the hours, the council in December voted to give the South Carolina Battlefield Trust $35,000 from ATAX. That was to support the Camden Burials Weekend. That was the motion that was approved, and that was what it was supposed to go to. So, Mr. Templer, the reinterment was widely known to be a public event. Okay, it was advertised to be public, and then it was not. It was private. So I personally take issue with the people of Kershaw County contributing so much to an event and then not being informed or not being reported back on where their funds went. Council did not receive a notice from the South Carolina Battlefield Trust as to the reburial of the fallen soldiers. So we were never updated when the burials for that weekend switched directions or changed. You and I, the last thing we were tracking was that we were going to take a section of the Camden battlefield and turn it into a national cemetery. The soldiers would be in vaults until that happened. Once we met all the requirements for the cemetery, they would be buried. That changed somewhere along the lines, and I do need to know when, because we need to tell the people. We're accountable to them. The Battlefield Trust did use that money. They did make money on that weekend. And so the people of Kershaw County do deserve to know the timeline and what happened. So I'm requesting the administrator and the county attorney formally request all the information pertaining to the private reburial event on public property paid for by public funds that excluded the public from the South Carolina Battlefield Trust. I will sign any necessary formal FOIA request as to the use of public funds by the Battlefield Trust that excluded the public from the event. This is important to me, not just for transparency, not just for accountability. There are people in our community that wanted to be there. There are likely people in our community related to those people, and the DNA testing is not back yet, so we don't know. So I have taken it very personal that the people of Kershaw County were left out after you contributed so much to the events. And Danny, I need that information as soon as possible so that I can report back to this council and the people what happened.
Yes, ma'am. And I'll just say with Mr. Jones, as well as your inquiries, just caveat that these may, if FOIA is involved, it's not a 2-week process.
Right,
So,
I understand.
but I will report in 2 weeks where we stand if that is the case.
Thank you, I understand. Yes.
Let me just say this. Until we get our answers, I'm not going to shut up. Period.
All right. Mr. Templer, before we go to the administrator's brief, I'm going to go back to whatever was skipped. So, Mr. Jones, you say India on ordinances?
Yes.
Okay.
We skipped over that one because I knew you had put it on the agenda, and I felt you may be back.
Okay, I appreciate that. Okay, item 9I, ordinances. This is a first reading of amended and restated ordinance by Kershaw County Council determining rules and order of business. I placed this on the agenda. So at this time, I motion to change the rules of order as indicated in section 5.1, Bravo 10, to read, council members may submit matters to the Finance Committee for consideration and recommendations to council after said matter has been presented at a county council meeting as an agenda item. Is there a second to this motion?
A second.
All right, into discussion. I placed, let me first go into the intent of the Finance Committee as I see it. The Finance Committee was reformed after several years to be the subject matter experts and to take a deeper look into the financial request of the county and also the budget. It was never my intent to have a group of 3 council members that are privy to information or get to see any financials before every member of this council. So every person sitting up here was elected by the people of Kershaw County. So every single person sitting up here deserves and has a right to know if there's a request coming from council. It should no request should circumvent council. So that's why I believe this change is needed. It's very important that every single person receive information. And this addition in the rules will prevent that from happening. Any matter that comes before council, a council member can then refer it to the Finance Committee. Any other comments or questions for me? Yes, sir.
I have a question.
Mr. Tucker.
You just have I have a statement.
Yeah, I have a question. So would we have to vote on it or just bring it up for discussion only?
An agenda item, so it could be discussion.
So I don't have an issue if it's just for discussion only, and then it gets sent to the Finance Committee and then it comes back for a vote. So I just
Thank you.
That's all I needed. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, sir.
You know, when we read this on the third reading, I put some teeth back into this thing to make sure that we didn't have a finance committee that would do certain things that would circumvent this council. And as chairman of this committee, I feel deep in my heart that in no way, no how, as I or the other 2 members, Mr. Thomason or Mr. Shoemate, has circumvented this council, this staff, or anyone that's had a part or request from finance. And I feel if we're going to have these strings attached, that we're defeating the purpose of having the Finance Committee. And this may be the reason why we haven't had it in several years. I cannot and will not support this matter of change tonight, and I'm going to yield my time right now to my colleagues that sat on the finance with me because I think they have some words they'd like to speak as well.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. And my apologies, just a second, Mr. Jones. This has nothing to do with anyone on this council circumventing anyone else on this council. This is, if someone has a financial request, they present it to everyone sitting up here, and then a council member can submit it to finance. I have full confidence that every finance committee member will let everybody know what's going on, but there's nothing that makes them do that. So if someone doesn't, they're left in the dark.
But we haven't had a problem with that.
We do have a problem with it.
Okay, you have a problem with it.
I have a statement, too, whenever it's my turn.
Mr. Shoemake first.
Well, so just to piggyback on what Councilman Tucker said, I'm also against this. A couple of reasons for me. I think it's unnecessary. I think it's inconsistent, and I think it's unmanageable. But I'll go those in order. Unnecessary. I mean, I think we haven't had, in my opinion, we haven't had any issues. I think that the setup of the finance committee is if any person, a community member, a chair, or even another member of council wants the finance committee to look at something, they can ask a council member. We refer it to finance. Finance committee meetings are public, so anyone can attend. So I think it's unnecessary. I think there's transparency built into the process. I think it's inconsistent. If you look at 5.1 of the ordinance, 5.18 specifically says the appropriations and expenditures of funds shall first be submitted to the Finance Committee for consideration and a recommendation to County Council. By adding this language into number 10, you're basically saying that the matter has to be presented to Council, which conflicts with number 8, which says the appropriation of funds shall first be submitted to the Finance, which I think, as I read the statute, I wasn't here when it was passed, but when I read the statute, the plain language, I think that was the intent. And I think the unmanageability part, I think every single member of this council has sent an email to the Finance Committee to ask for consideration of something before the meeting was held. So I'm almost certain that every single member of the council has sent one of those emails or at least sent in a request. So I think it kind of obviates the whole point of the Finance Committee to have that requirement. So I will also be voting against this tonight.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Duns.
Well, Mr. Tucker, excuse me, I want to address one of your remarks to make sure I didn't get the wrong impression. Finance Committee was in existence back when I took office in 2007. Finance Committee met behind closed doors. They didn't advertise. I fought that, and we changed that. And y'all know that, you know that to be true. And I felt that if the Finance Committee was handled properly, that it could be a good thing. Now, I have no problems. Well, this is the way I always thought it worked. I thought it worked that the Finance Committee, a request would be made to the chair of the Finance Committee chair would get with the chair of County Council, let County Council be notified of what's going on, and then they would meet.
That has transpired. That's how it's been ran.
So am I wrong on that?
No, that's how it's been done. I mean,
and it's advertised, and anybody can go. The public.
Absolutely, that's the way it's been done.
See, I was told that years ago when you and I were serving, and didn't agree on much then, don't agree on much now, but we still work together periodically. Bottom line is that I was told I wasn't invited to a Finance Committee back in 2007. I said, well, you better call out the Finance Committee police because I'm going to be there. And there's going to be 4 county council members, and you better notify the media because I'm going to be there. I don't know if Arden Carn was here or somebody else, but I said that. And you know what? It got changed. I walked in, nobody ran me out, and you made sure of that, and I commend you on that when I was told I couldn't go in, but I went in there anyway. I don't see a problem with there being some structure, but so would you tell me again, Madam Chair, what your proposal is?
If someone has a request, a financial request, and they want the Finance Committee to review it, they first come to County Council and they tell all 7 of us what their request is. It's for transparency. It's so the public know that they're making a request. And then any member on this council submits it to the Finance Committee as the rest of the paragraph states.
Madam Chair,
Are you done, Mr. Jones?
I'm done.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much for that.
The way I look at it is this just creates another step that puts us down the process, potentially another month before anything can meet. We go in and review, make recommendations, and we bring the recommendations back before council. If you look, Miss Lauren Reeder sends out to all county employees the agenda for each meeting, the time and location of it. So every council is always aware. The 3 of us, we take our time to update council. I think we need to utilize this more as a resource than a tool. And that's my thoughts on it.
Thank you. Anything else?
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
Question for you and my colleagues.
Yes.
Has there been a meeting held where you were left in the dark by this finance committee? Not talking about anybody else. Has there been a
No.
meeting where we have not been transparent and left in the dark?
Absolutely not. This finance committee, no.
Right. And so that's that. My colleagues, do y'all agree or disagree? Do y'all feel that y'all been left in the dark? Councilman Jones?
No.
Okay. So it goes back to my saying, why are we creating a problem that we don't have? Because we've been very transparent. And I'm just telling you, I feel a certain way about this amendment. And that's, once again, the reason why I'm not supporting it, because it does bog us down with more to do and more steps in place, as Councilman Tomlinson has stated. Plus, it feels like an element of distrust. And I'm just being honest with you. And I'm not happy with it.
Well, I
Thank you.
disagree with that.
So, just real quick, maybe if I were in your shoes, I would feel that way. But I think from what I'm hearing, because I'm kind of neutral, to be honest, I don't have a side. I'm not part of the finance committee, and I'm not part of the folks who's proposed this. If all this is a procedure to propose something to the finance committee, I'm okay with it, as long as we're clear that the finance committee's done a fantastic job and has been completely and totally transparent. If someone's consistently going to the finance committee and we're not hearing about it, I think that's Ms. Gwynn's concern. And I don't really have an issue with it from that standpoint, but I don't have an issue with the finance committee either. I think they've done a fantastic job. So I just wanted to state that for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Braswell. I don't have an issue with the finance committee. I have an issue with anyone going straight to the finance committee without giving every single person elected an opportunity to know the problem. For example, opening up a budget.
Yeah, I can appreciate that.
Well, folks, here's where I stand. I think the finance committee's done a great job. Let me tell you something. Councilman Thomason, Shoemake, Tucker, y'all have done a great job on the finance committee. I have no problems with some guidelines. I think the guidelines kind of help us understand where we're going, how we're going. So having said that, I'm going to support Madam Chair's request tonight, but I think y'all have done a great job.
Thank
and
you.
Believe me, if I didn't think so, I'd tell you. Which I know y'all.
Anything else?
Madam Chair.
Yes,
Guess I
Mr.
better
Gator.
add my 2 cents too. I'm kind of like Councilman Braswell. I'm kind of in the middle here, but I've yet to have an issue with this finance committee. Just like Councilman Jones spoke of, they've done an outstanding job. It's a job that I wouldn't take and others here didn't want. And for that very reason, it's a very, very tough, time-consuming job. With that being said, I've never not been privy to anything that has went before this finance committee this year. And so I don't see where it's an issue right now. When the particular situation took place that you spoke of, when it took place, I think we were all made aware of that, and it was addressed. There was a meeting. There was an agenda put out.
Mr. Cato, who made the entire council aware of it, though?
I wasn't told anything about it. I didn't know anything about the finance committee meeting.
I was given an agenda. I was sent an agenda for the finance meeting by Miss Lauren Reeder.
Okay.
So we were made aware, and I mean we had to have that opportunity. It wasn't like we were in the blind. So I mean, for that, I cannot support. I mean, if we was having issues with this council and with this finance committee, I would be the first to step up and say, yes, we need to do something different. But I don't see a problem with the way anything's been done.
Well, I didn't want to get into this because who made me aware
Who made you aware what?
that there was going to be a finance committee meeting?
I did. I announced it at council when the finance meeting was going to be. I made it. It's right in my finance briefing. It's just on record. Look at your minutes. Review your minutes. I made everyone up here aware. I made the public aware. And
Yes.
then we sent out a public
You
notice.
made everyone aware. Yeah, absolutely. That's not what I'm talking about.
But that's the question he asked me.
Okay. I'm going to call for the vote.
Would you restate your motion? And guys, don't take it so personal, guys. It's just a talking.
First, in favor of the first reading of the amended and restated ordinance by Kershaw County Council determining rules and order of business. Updating 5.110, indicate by raising your hand. Mr. Jones, myself, and Mr. Brazel, and those opposed. Mr. Cato, Mr. Tomlinson, Mr. Shoemake, and Mr. Tucker. Right, that does not pass first reading. Let me get back to the agenda. All right, Mr. Jones, did you do item J, Juliet? First reading of base lease and operating agreement for Mount Pisgah?
Yes.
Okay. And item 10, resolutions?
We're on 15, Madam Chair.
14.
Okay, administrator's brief. Mr. Templer, you have the floor.
Madam Chair, members of council, just a few notes from recreation on coming up events. We have a senior golf tournament Friday, September 22nd at Pine Creek Golf Club in Camden. It's 9 a.m. shotgun start. Register in the office at the Recreation Department. Touch a Truck will be coming up October 7th. It's a Saturday at the Wateree River Veterans Park, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And the Halloween Jack-O-Lantern Jamboree. It's the Halloween Trick-or-Treat Trail, Saturday, October 28th at the Wateree River Veterans Park, 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. And that is my report.
Mr. Templer, repeat Touch a Truck.
Sure. Touch a Truck, Saturday, October 7th.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll continue to brief these until these events happen.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Touch a Truck, Mr. Administrator, make sure that we get in touch with Hale Gold Mine, and I'll keep reminding you.
Okay.
Because I think there's some equipment we can bring down and, have at the site at the event.
If I may,
Mr.
Madam
Jones.
Chair, could somebody state the rules that we have when we receive emails for public speaking?
When we receive emails, sure.
When we receive emails, what do our rules say and what is our policy?
Okay, just a second. Right, it's not in the appendix. Just a second.
Could Mr. DeBose give a legal update?
Oh, he could.
Well, I'll be very brief. How to not have an update for y'all.
Okay. All right, the public comment guidelines. Number 1, public comments discusses the opportunity for public comments to be received from this council. A time for council to listen. Number 2, offensive and inappropriate comments are not tolerated. 3, if a group would like to speak, we request that a spokesperson is selected. Number 4, public comment is a time to discuss issues. Number 5, the period is limited to 5 minutes per individual speaker. And number 6, public comments to council as an agenda item shall continue uninterrupted and live stream. So our guidelines indicate that you must be a speaker to give a comment.
So no emails will be read? I'm asking.
I'm not going to read any more emails. No, sir.
Thank you.
At the request of the first email that this council received, I read it and it turned into a problem. So as the chair, I have decided that I will not be reading any more emails. And Mr. DeBose, is that within my authority as I sit in the seat?
I think more directly to the question, the appendix does reference speakers throughout. I think it contemplates spoken comments at public hearing. But yes, Madam Chair, I believe it is not explicit about emails, and therefore it's within your discretion as a secondary issue. But primarily, the appendix says speakers.
Okay, thank you. If I had discretion to read an email, would I be out of order?
No, I mean, if the rules provided that you could read emails, you would not be out of order to read emails, Madam Chair.
But don't you think?
So for consistency, I've decided not to read any.
Okay, that was, I just.
Madam Chair.
About rules, so. Yes, sir.
So I just want to make sure we're clear, but the emails will be given to each council member and placed into our minutes, like we do the sign-up sheet.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
just want to be
Someone
clear on
submits
that.
a public comment. Hannah will print it. I will pass it out. You will have it sitting at your seat. She will also put it in the minutes that that person submitted a public comment. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Because I just didn't see mine tonight. That's your stuff. Anyway, thank you for answering my question. And giving clarification too.
Yes, no problem. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. DeBose. All right, no legal briefing. Future agenda items. So at our last agenda review, Mr. DeBose and I kind of dove into how we are supposed to be doing these appointments and these items. So I just want to read it since it's kind of a different way we've been doing it. So section 6.2 in our rules, notification of appointments. The county administrator and clerk to Kershaw County Council shall notify the county council in the agenda of pending appointments or vacancies caused by resignation or expiration of terms. Notification of appointments to be made shall be placed in the agenda under future agenda items at least one regularly scheduled meeting prior to the placement of the appointment on the agenda under appointments. So you will see now item number 16, future agenda items. We will list the appointments that are coming up, and we will also put the date that they are coming up. That meets the intent of the rule in 6.2. Additionally, anyone that applies for an appointment on a board or commission, their application will be a part of the agenda packet of the meeting that their appointment will take place, or a meeting prior. It can be any meeting as long as it is in the agenda packet prior to the appointment being made. That is for public transparency, so the public can read who is applying, and everyone up here has the opportunity to read and review that application as well. Any questions on that?
Will that list be given to us that you just read off of, or that came off your head, the rules?
Oh, it's in number 16.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mr. Tucker, I don't think I answered your question.
You just read off the changes that...
No. It's in our current rules of order.
Okay.
In the current ordinance. Yeah, we were just doing it a little differently.
Okay.
We weren't doing it wrong, but this is a little...
All right. I've got a copy of that.
Yeah, more concise.
Yeah.
So we will let the public know in the future we're going to have an appointment, and then we'll have their application in the packet with them. So our future appointments for the September 12th meeting, we'll do library board appointments, Board of Zoning and Appeals appointments, Clean Community Commission appointments, and the Old English District appointment. There's only one vacancy there. Yes, sir. We have. Yep. We have. This was the last piece, this future agenda item, letting the public know when the appointment's going to be made. You should all have a list from Ms. Hannah, boards and commission applicants. This is a total list of anyone in our county who has applied to any board, their choices, and the date that they applied.
Can I just say thank you, Ms. Hannah, for something? I've been looking, when I first got sworn in, I looked online for this and I couldn't find it. I talked to other folks and it wasn't available. So until you put that together, and it, obviously not so much with the names, but I guess we're also going to be updating the website so that that's accurate with the appointments. Thank you so much, Ms. Hannah.
Thank you, Mr. Schumake. All right, number 17, executive session. Do we have a need to go into executive session for anything? Okay, and item number 18, adjournment. Is there a motion at this time?
Madam Chair.
Okay, Mr. Tucker makes the motion. Is there a second? Second. And Mr. Bradsell makes a second. All those in favor of adjourning indicate by raising your hand. And the vote is unanimous. This meeting is adjourned.